welcome back to the Growing Pains podcast. This is Big Z and the Wolf, episode 3. We're just rolling this year, man. We're gonna just keep going. We're gonna be consistent every Monday, 6 p.m. We got some guests lined up. We're gonna have a big year. Look, we got one guest to end the year, episode 57. We're gonna have a special guest. That's gonna be the Growing Pains podcast, obviously, where we have the guests. Like I said before, this is Big Z and the Wolf. We got a couple of topics here we're gonna talk about today, and I'm ready. We're gonna start rolling on it. So first thing I want to talk about, which is something that I was big on growing up, is just caring what people think about you.
Yeah.
And but when I was growing up, I was always, and I think it goes towards what we talked about on the last episode is my personal appearance. I always really cared about what people thought about me. I always, even in sports and stuff like that, I kind of shied away from sports that I wasn't good at because I cared about what people thought about me. But you were the same way growing up.
Same way, man. I was big on it. It's something that I overcame because
me too. I could give a shit anymore.
I could give two fucks what anybody thinks.
A lot of it is social media too, though.
Yeah.
It's people you see people dressing a certain way, so you think it's cool to dress like them, and a lot of things that I've been seeing too is a lot of the successful people that I watch on Instagram and YouTube and things like that, they've always had this style, and they say
different.
People didn't think it was cool back in the day when I was dressing like this, and now everybody wants to dress like that, and I've always been I like to dress nice, I like the suits and things like that, turtlenecks, I like that, and outside of that, growing up, I wore graphic tees and things like that because that was cool, you know what I mean? Now, black t-shirts my go-to, you know what I mean? Just a regular t-shirt that fits me good, and maybe some nice shoes and some slacks, but I do think caring what people think about you is also good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it can be bad if you want to follow people.
Yes, yeah.
But it can be good too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be good. It changes you really. It makes you grow. That's the Growing Pains podcast.
Exactly.
Makes you grow.
Caring what people, and the thing is normally when people think bad, I don't want to say think bad about you, but maybe have a lesser attitude towards you. You know what I mean? It normally it's probably valid. You know what I mean? It's normally a reason why they feel I always say every stereotype has a little bit of truth to it. You know what I mean? And that's the same way.
It really does.
If somebody thinks, I don't know, you're not dressing appropriately, or I don't know, you do your hair funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just you. You know what I mean? And that's the thing too.
You might be in your head a little bit.
If it's just you, let it be you. You know what I mean? If you are a certain way, and that the way you carry yourself also can overcome a lot of that. I got tattoos when I was pretty young, and it's we
16.
said last time, I overcame that. I don't know, I had short hair, I used to get the fucking box cut, you know what I mean, all shaped up, and it's for me, I'm this, I look like a little hoodlum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But I overcame that with my approach to people, and you can overcome, the appearance is something easy to overcome, you know what I mean?
It really is, yeah. It definitely is.
But I think
it could also go into if you do something stupid, you know, what people are going to say about you, how they'll feel about you after you do something stupid.
And it's all how you bounce back, too.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're you know.
Exactly, and you're your reaction to doing something stupid.
Yeah, you might feel dumb in the moment.
And that's the thing,
you'll look back on it, you'll laugh about it, and you really shouldn't care how people think about you. You know, I really.
Definitely. I do think too, I don't know, it's tricky because you do want to be yourself at the end of the day, but if you being yourself is just you being a disrespectful young kid, that's where you have to care. I take in everybody's opinions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When people criticize me on certain things, I take it in. You know, I think about it and I say, either they're right or fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you really think about something, you say, well, that's me. That's you. But, if you're just disrespectful or, I don't know, if you're just like out of pocket with everything, like,
you know, you could be extra. There's a lot of people that are extra about certain things, and
it's like growing
that's
up.
You,
yeah,
and it is what it is.
But like you gotta also accept like the consequences of being like. There's some consequences to being against like society's norms. You know what I mean? And sometimes they can end up being good, but like you have to judge yourself too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
yes, you do.
You could care. You could say I don't care about what other people think about me. But you have to judge yourself at the end of the day. Like a lot of things, like I've been journaling and writing things down. Like I try to think about like what did I do today that I could have done better, or what did I do today that. Even things that I do that I think I do them right, I do try to think like,
how can I do better?
Could I have handled that better?
Yeah.
Because look, people are gonna have opinions on you. People are gonna talk about you. People are gonna think.
No matter what.
Exactly,
no
and
matter
like
what.
Like one of the quotes going back to the previous episodes is like, sometimes it's good to be crazy, and like at the end of the day, if you handled a situation and you were a little bit. You know, higher energy or a little bit more crazier, like maybe that was the right like emotion you had to have in that situation.
Yeah.
Then again, maybe that was the wrong emotion in that situation. But you have to go back and look at yourself in the mirror too. Like so many people will just point the finger and say, "Oh, well they feel this way because they're an asshole."
Yep.
But there's a lot of validity in people's opinions too sometimes. It's like talking out of both sides though too.
It is.
There's not.
It's difficult.
There's a lot of inappropriate opinions, and there's a lot of good opinions, and really you just have to sit down with yourself and say,
go through them.
Was this person right? You know what I mean? I do that a lot too. Like if I do something stupid and somebody reacts a certain way, it's.
But you also can't dwell on it neither.
Exactly.
Like at the same
that's why
time,
I write it down. I go through my day. I say like and that's the thing. Like a lot of people will dwell on like, oh well. Why did he think I was being an asshole? Sit down and think about why I thought you were being an asshole, and if you think.
See, one big thing that I do is I before I say something or before I do something, I think about how they'll react in the worst way, how they'll react in the best way, and why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it.
And you're prepared. Like you're prepared for what.
You're prepared on all angles. Whatever way the situation goes, you know kind of how you can deal with it.
And that's the thing, like after the fact, if it goes, you know, the bad way, like you got to think about, well, how can I avoid this from happening next time?
Right.
And, you know what I mean? You got to grow yourself. You always got to grow the way you're talking, your approach.
And sometimes you might have been in the wrong, and they might think that you're in the wrong, and the situation goes south fast. You know, you have to be able to. Sometimes you gotta be the bigger man, and you know, be like, I'm sorry for what I did or what I said. I'm sorry that I offended you. You know, you gotta be the bigger man and understand that sometimes you do have to do that.
Hey, yeah, you gotta just be humble about it too, and like look, if I say something. And I think about it the next day, and I say, I probably could have said that a different way.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta come in the next day and say, listen, I understand yesterday I might have been a little bit too overboard.
Right.
I wanna go back to what we were talking about. Address it. You know what I mean? Address it, nip it in the butt. Because a lot of things, like, once you're an asshole to somebody, like, they look at you a different way for a long time. But if you're an asshole one day and you come in the next day and you say, listen, I'm gonna be honest, I know you felt you took this the wrong way yesterday.
That's a difficult conversation a lot of people don't want to have.
Exactly, but like,
conversation.
So that's like on the aspect of like caring what people think. You know what I mean? So like you do have to care what people think in certain aspects, and then other aspects like if you're being you, be you.
Yeah.
And this kind of rolls right into the next topic is like sensitive people.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Which is something tricky to deal with, like you were saying, like you're preparing for the conversation, like you gotta know your audience.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You gotta prepare like prior to
Yeah.
even having the conversation. You know, some people might think I'm psycho.
Yeah.
If I have something I need to get off my chest to somebody, I'll
say
think about it. I'm gonna talk to myself in the car and talk the whole conversation over. See, I'll even think about what they would say and how I would answer that.
Exactly. Like you gotta prepare for the approach, and it's like it's easy to deal with the people that you know, but like when you're going into, I don't know. Look, when we're going into a conversation with somebody on the podcast, like you gotta prepare for. You gotta be prepared for every scenario. Like we could tell somebody like, we believe in this, and they could go south and say, oh, wow, I can't believe you believe in this, and how are you gonna deal with that situation? Like you have to always be. It's easy to talk to people that you agree with.
Like it's easy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like even when we disagree, like.
I open up my mind to your side. Yeah,
and that's
I'll think about it and try to understand where you're coming from.
And that's the thing, like with this podcast, is like we're very open-minded. You know what I mean? Like, look, I have my beliefs, and I believe in them because of, like I said, what I've been through, my life, and all that.
Right.
But you got to be open-minded too, like just to people's thoughts. And
there's a lot of people that are closed-minded, and when you have these conversations, sometimes you might be right, and they're going to continue to say you're wrong. They'll always say you're wrong. But at the end of the day, this is where it comes back to you got to be you. You got to be you.
Exactly.
And sometimes the bigger man, if they're being a little.
And everybody's been through different things too, and that's what like a lot of people I think don't understand is like I've been to different states just in the country, and it's like somebody that grew up in the South has different views than somebody that grew up, in the Northeast, and it's like, so you have to understand, like, people grow up a different way. Like, I grew up in, like, I seen, like, this hood and the streets and things like that. Like, I wasn't in it, but I seen it, you know what I mean? So, like, I have different views on things than somebody that grew up, out on a farm. And, like, so I feel like so many people are closed-minded and think, like, what I believe is right because I believe it.
That's it.
And it's like, what you believe in
mind.
might be right for somebody that grew up the way you grew up. I'm sure it is. Like, you put your view out on the world because of what you've been through.
Right.
Which this goes into, too, like, just people's feelings. Like, it sucks to hurt people's feelings, but sometimes
it's needed, man.
And sometimes you don't try to hurt people's feelings, but when you're trying to grow people,
I try my absolute best to not hurt anybody's feelings, even if I gotta have one of those difficult conversations. You gotta. That's a sophisticated conversation there.
You gotta know the person on the other side too. Yeah. Like, it's easy to hurt somebody's feelings if they're a sensitive person.
Yeah.
But.
Or closed-minded person.
Exactly. Like, closed-minded people, their feelings get hurt real easy because it's what they believe is what they believe is what they believe.
That's it. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't think I go into anything saying like I'm gonna hurt this person. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
listen. I never want to go into a conversation like, I'm gonna hurt this guy's feelings. I never look.
It's your approach is everything, though, too. Like, if your approach is like, listen, you're doing a really crappy job, blah blah blah. Obviously, you're gonna hurt their feelings if they think they're doing great.
Yeah.
But if the person on the other side is, willing to take that credit, like my thing is like, I'll end a conversation like, listen, just think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I give you the ammo to be like, to go home at night and say,
think about
was he right? Come in the next day and say, you know what? You were wrong. I love it. Like, why do you think I'm... And it's not an argument.
No,
it's an open book conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and, I've had my feelings hurt. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
everybody has.
And I think about it and say, like, where's the validity in what they were saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were right.
Right.
Or they caught me on an off day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that shit happens. Like, a lot of people say, like,
perfect.
Oh, did I get lucky today? Like, no, you didn't get lucky today.
Yeah.
And, like, but if somebody comes in and I'm doing something wrong, like, okay, I get it. But if I'm doing something wrong that day, but I did it right every other day, prove your point. Come in the next day and say, listen, that was a one-off.
You
know what I mean? Like, that was a one-off. I don't, like, this, that wasn't me. Like, I'm on top of this.
Yeah.
And just, you gotta prove yourself, too. Like, if your feelings get hurt, like, come in trying to prove yourself the next day, but sit down, think about it, and say...
Don't dwell over it.
Don't dwell over it.
Don't dwell over it, come in, work harder.
Exactly.
Get it done correctly.
And that's the thing, too, which goes into, like, the quote. I love that you said work harder, because it just flows right into, like, our quote of the day, which, the interactions have been great. I appreciate people commenting on the quotes of the day and saying how you feel about it, but the quote of today is, if you want to be better, you have to be harder on yourself.
Yeah, you do.
And that's the thing too. Like, people around you aren't gonna push you normally.
Nobody will.
Like, if
And
somebody
somebody-
cares
listen.
about you, they will. They'll try and
Most-
push you in a direction, you know, to succeed.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like,
I have very few people in my life that actually want to see me succeed.
Nobody wants to see
Nobody
people
really wants to see you succeed. They might say like, "Oh, I'm watching the podcast," but the views aren't there. But you know, it's
Yeah.
like there's only very few people in my life that I think actually like believe in me and know that I will succeed one day.
and that's the thing too. Like, even the people that want to see, like, look, I want all my friends to win.
I want to see everybody win.
But even me, like, I'm not over here pushing a lot of my friends and being hard. Like, there's a few of my friends that I'm like, dude, you should do, like, I'm trying to help them out with their business. I'm trying to help them. But there's just a lot of my friends that, like, look, I want to see them win, but I'm not over here, like, I'm not the guy just pushing everybody to, like, there's some friends that I'm pushing saying, like, be better, be better, be better.
They're the certain people
But-
that you really want to see succeed.
Exactly, and, like, I don't want to see anybody fail in life.
No.
But, like, the only person that's going to get you better is yourself. So, like, even, like, look, I'm doing good in the position I'm at. Like, you're doing good in the position you're at. But, like, how can I be better? You know what I mean?
I think
like,
that
you
every
could be
single
the
morning.
best. Like,
Every single morning.
I seen a thing the other day, like Tom Brady had 6 Super Bowls. He was the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
What could make him be better?
Right.
Getting another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, great people are always pushing to be greater.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I definitely think, I don't know who could agree with this quote. I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah.
Don't be hard on yourself. Like, being good is good enough.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I mean.
But, like, and look, being good is good enough for some people.
I don't
like
think
we
I can
always say.
change that one though. I like that.
Yeah,
You know,
and like
you
we
gotta
said
be hard on yourself.
on the podcast with Caleb, is like we're people that just aren't satisfied. You know what I mean? So if you're one of those people that like continuously want to grow and want to be better, the only way you can be better is if you continue to be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Now, if you get to a point where like you're content in life and good is good enough, then good is good enough. But
there's nothing wrong
personally, I don't see myself getting to that point.
No.
So if you want to be better, be harder on yourself.
with that. Yeah, you have to be.
That's the
hard
word
on
of the
yourself.
wolf. And look, episode 3, Big Z and the Wolf.
Yes.
That's
I
the
love
wrap
these
up.
things.
Yeah,
These
this
things
is
are
great. These
I love
flow
them.
good. And look, I love the ones with the guests because my somebody had asked us recently, like, are you in this to make money? And look, obviously I'm doing everything to make money.
Yeah.
We want to make money in the
Yep.
future. But my biggest thing for this podcast is just talking to, you know, high profile people,
Yep.
people with stories and
good
like
stories,
I want
bro.
everybody to get their opinions just out into the world. And me, I like talking. I know you like talking.
Oh, I love it.
I like hearing people's stories, and I like kind of picking people apart on like
Yeah.
why
You
do
get to
you
find out
believe in this?
You
You know what I
find
mean?
the juicy stuff out.
And it's like, look, a lot of our episodes that we've done, like, you know, Caleb was from Rhode Island, so his beliefs are based on where he came from. Like Tommy, like he was in South Philly, then South Jersey.
Yeah.
So like that, just how people are molded into their beliefs, like that's I like that. That's something I'm into, and obviously we want to make money. Like I want to do the podcast every day of the week because we're making enough money to do it.
I would love
and
to.
I want to, but overall, why I'm doing this is because I want to talk to different people around the world, get their opinions, and see why they became the person they are.
What hardships they've encountered.
Exactly, overcome, encountered, and look, it's the growing pains, and we're going through it, and everybody's going through it. And look, episode 3, it's a big one. Go follow, subscribe.
Like,
Dads,
share,
number 4
everything.
America.shop. We got the gear out. We see you at the bar. We are buying drinks. Put
For
it
you.
on, and
Yep.
we'll be around, man. Until next time.